So yeah, with Bungie obviously they've moved on from Halo and they've now partnered with Activision and you're doing Destiny.
Yeah.
Where did the whole idea for the story actually come from then?
Well, obviously the development of any game does begin with a great story. Starting over from scratch, having a blank canvas and being able to imagine a brave new world where we could tell different types of stories has actually been a lot of fun for us, because we kind of went on a creative exploration to decide what sort of flavor, what sort of tone we wanted to set for Destiny. The earliest concepts actually had this thing slated as a fantasy game. Some of the earliest concepts depicted castles and knights and some of these more romantic classical settings, but we found ourselves missing that scientific, sci-fi, futuristic element, which is how the ships and the weapons and the armor came back into the mix. We realized that we could play in a space where we could have both things. So we're taking the sci-fi stories that we're known for, but we're infusing it with some new themes like magic and myth and warriors that wield pure light as a weapon, and that is how we arrived in the world of Destiny. Now it's just a matter of creating a story that will captivate the mind of the player, but also give them the opportunity to create their own story, because they will all create their own unique main character, and as they play, as they complete their missions and defeat their enemies, that main character will evolve and become more dangerous and have exciting new ways to fight, new weapons, armor, and gear that will make them more powerful. That's basically the essential story arc of the game.
Cool. You touched on it briefly. You were saying you started off with the idea of almost like a fantasy title rather than a sci-fi title.
Yeah.
Is that because it was Destiny as a general was influenced by traditional RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons ideas, or I mean, where was the influence really coming from?
The original inspiration for Destiny came from some of the old games that we used to make. We've always had a really good pedigree for bringing gamers together online to share an experience together. The idea at one point in time, over 10 years ago now, was what if we could create a living social world where the player felt like the places that they were exploring were alive with the presence of other players. A world where anything could literally happen because you never know who you're going to meet, you never know what events you're going to share with other players. This was a very elaborate idea given the technology that we were using at the time to make games. So we had to completely reinvent ourselves as a company. We had to reinvent the tools we use to build worlds and to fill them up with action that is fun for gamers to share together. So in many ways, this is the game that we've always wanted to make. It just took us a long time to get to the point where we could accomplish the things that were tumbling around in our imaginations.
Does it feel that you needed to have a fresh slate? You couldn't have carried on maybe with Halo and then evolved it that way?
I think we wanted to put ourselves in a position where we could start fresh and new, where there were no preconceived notions. Halo is a very specific thing to many people, and we wanted Destiny to be able to live on its own, to stand on its own legs, and for people to say, what is this thing? Okay. Without them saying, well, that's not Halo. And we're like, you're absolutely right. It's Destiny, it's a brand new game, it takes place in a completely different universe, you'll play as completely new heroes, and we have the opportunity to blow your mind by letting you unravel the secrets of a mysterious universe that you truly don't understand yet. And that's given us a lot of creative license and a lot of luxury to create whatever we wanted to put in this world, because it's a place that no one's ever been to yet. But in 4 short weeks, all of that changes.
Yes, very soon, isn't it? So yeah, Destiny is obviously, there are some similarities the way it plays to Halo and to Marathon and stuff, obviously.
It's a Bungie game.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Yeah.
But would you say that your past works have almost been building up to this? Have you had this idea in mind for a while?
Well, we have had this idea in mind for a while in terms of a wide open game where you could explore and you could enjoy fantastic adventures, have chance encounters with other heroes who are blazing their own trail. Where those two paths intersect, you'll find these explosive public events so they can jump in and be on a team together, overcome enormous obstacles and win sweet rewards. Or they can say, I don't want to do this, I have a story beat over here that I'm dying to get into. You spawn your personal vehicle and you boost off toward the horizon. We're giving the player full control, full freedom to have whatever sort of adventure you want to have. Now that we're able to realize that vision, we're just having a fun time making sure that it's a world that you want to be in, making sure that it's a world that you want to explore.
Well, obviously the alpha's now been out and the beta's now been out, and the game's coming up very soon.
Yeah.
Playing through the beta and the way the mission structure feels, it feels very similar to sort of World of Warcraft at the beginning. It has that that drive to do the next objective, the next objective, the next objective. You want to keep playing, pushing. Has working with Activision helped inform the way the world works? Obviously, because they have Blizzard inside.
I think some of our lead designers draw inspirations from some of the games that they like to play. At Bungie, for a long time, we have said that we make games that we want to play. So we're combining a lot of elements from our own games that we've loved: first-person shooter action, the explosive excitement, the beating heart of a Bungie action game. But people who have enjoyed games where you do get to create a character and nurture it over time. You do get to enjoy a vast landscape that has a lot of interesting missions for you to do that add to your experience. A landscape that expands the longer that you play in it. We have had a great partnership with Activision, in coming to places like Gamescom and spreading the words to people who, we've never met before. There are certainly people who come in from Activision that are good at, creating games and developing games that work with us on our development floor, to help us keep the trains running on time. Production muscle is always a great thing to have when you've got a bigger team than you've ever managed before, working on a bigger game than you've ever released before. So Activision benefits us in so many ways, but in terms of the creative inspirations for Destiny, we really draw those things from the team leads, people like our project director and co-founder Jason Jones, who's worked on all of the different franchises of Bungie games, throughout the years, everything from Pathways to Myth to Marathon to Halo. So we still have sort of the heart and soul of Bungie intact, and we're able to draw from all of our experiences in making games. Every time you make a game, it teaches you something about that process, so we are able to sort of rely on our learnings over decades of doing this sort of thing.
As you're saying, obviously Bungie as a team has expanded over the years, and more recently. Is that also partly because of the sort of scalability of Destiny? As you say, the engine works on whatever generation, and from the sounds of it, it seems like your engine is going to keep working beyond what we currently have.
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. Not only did we want to build a bigger game than we've ever released before, but we wanted to release it on 4 separate consoles at the same time. We've never done that. So the logistics, the testing, the concerns of creating a good quality experience on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox One and the Xbox 360. We're not just making one game and stuffing it onto all these boxes and hoping for the best. We are creating different versions of the game that are completely optimized for each platform, so that no matter which box you use to play the game, you're getting a great next generation gaming experience. We're just maximizing the horsepower and the hardware so that you're going to have different experiences on different boxes. Given if it's a legacy generation console or a next generation console, there's a central design build that exists on our own hardware. And we can upgrade those tools, we can evolve that game engine so that for years to come we can deposit this game wherever we think it can thrive.
Okay. Is that surely not intimidating to be working with something as
we love intimidation. Yeah, we love being intimidated, man. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. There is a culture of perfectionism that permeates everything that we do at Bungie. We put pressure on ourselves to make sure that every game that we create is the best game that we've ever released. We're recruiting new and talented people. We're using better technology. If Destiny isn't the best game that we've ever made, we're falling short of our own potential. And that's the way we think about our work every day. So when people ask us, is it intimidating or do you sense any pressure? It's like we add those things to our culture deliberately on our own.
Okay. Crazy. Moving back a bit and going back to what we touched on earlier with the beta. Obviously now the beta's been done and you've had a lot of feedback from fans. I mean, was the feedback surprisingly positive, or was it what you expected to have?
Our fans always surprise us. Always, always. We did not think that Destiny was going to be the most simultaneously played Bungie game in history, but that's what it ended up being. In what we call peak concurrency, we had more people online playing at the same time than any game that Bungie had ever released, which is sort of a testament to the social and cooperative focus of this game. Everyone is supposed to play Destiny at the same time so they can all have encounters with each other as they explore some of the same spaces. And that's why we did the beta, to test the new infrastructure, to test the new matchmaking technology that we built for the beta. Of course, the way the players behave is also, delightfully surprising. We always learn about what our game really is from the community. So even the most hardcore, competitive, shooter guy who loves the competitive arena ends up dancing in the tower and enjoying some of the nonverbal communication with other players. And then the players who enjoy sort of the whimsical MMORPG elements are sort of trying their hand in the Iron Banner, which was the most competitive challenge that we put into the beta. So to see players kind of bleed across the lines of different activities, because there are so many different ways to play Destiny, to see players trying different things the longer they played, the more we saw a more even split across all the different activities. We're very happy about the fact that Destiny was able to lure or entice a gamer out of their comfort zone and say, here's something over here that you think might not be for you, but there are some rewards in there you want. You want to trick out your Guardian with new weapons or gear, and those things live over here, so come try this. Yeah. And a lot of the great feedback we got from the beta, just sort of story-wise, was that I don't like these sorts of games, but I gave Destiny a try and I loved it. And we find that stuff inspiring and humbling and certainly educational, right?
Yeah, definitely. Imagine that. Also in the beta, we only saw 2 of the races or clans, I suppose you put it that way.
Yeah.
How does it work with the other 2 coming in? So there's obviously 4 different enemy types.
You're going to find out. In less than 4 short weeks, you'll find out. The different alien races that you'll fight in Destiny all add their own element to the story. The Vex are a mechanical species bent on your destruction. The Cabal are a professional military organization that dominate Mars. You'll learn about what their agendas are, what are their objectives for wanting to destroy humanity and kick us out of our former lost golden age colonies. You'll learn how to fight them. They all have their weaknesses, they all have their soft targets, and they all contain their own mysteries that they add to the story. So the more you play Destiny, the more this game becomes complex and varied. You'll go to different planets, you'll visit different locations on those planets, you'll fight different alien species. You'll even discover that they have their own leadership castes. So while you might be good at fighting a Cabal Centurion, when that boss comes through the door with banners anchored to the shoulder of his armor, and a minigun, and he's just like raining bullets through the air, this is a completely different experience. So we're creating a game that we hope has the ability to surprise you the longer that you play. And just when you think you know what Destiny is, and I've done everything there is to do in Destiny, we can come up and we can poke the server and update your game while you're in orbit, so when you descend back down to that destination, it's a different place.
Does that mean you could also do something like scalable difficulties from
there are variable difficulty modes in the game. So if somebody's told me, yeah, I've done everything in Destiny, I've played every story mission on every level of difficulty, they're like, well, no. It's like, then you haven't done everything in Destiny, have you? Have you played the cooperative strikes? No. Have you finished the raid? No. There's a lot of things to do. There are a lot of different ways for us to challenge players of every difficulty level. But each of those activities, each of those avenues of action has a lot of ways that we can make it varied and diverse. So if you don't feel like you're a competitive player, you don't have to feel like you're leaving a lot of food on the table, because there's so much to do in exploring the worlds. There's so much to do in playing the story on every difficulty setting. And if you do decide that, for your first time as a gamer, you're actually going to form a team with other gamers online and do something like a cooperative strike mission, where you infiltrate an alien stronghold and take down its boss, we'll use matchmaking technology to give you your fire team. So you can step into Destiny all by yourself and say, I need 2 Guardians, who's with me? And through the miracles of technology, you meet 2 other guys, 2 other ladies, 2 other Guardians, and you're off to the fight.
Cool. With Halo, obviously, heroic was always billed as the way to play it. Would you say there's like a way to play Destiny in terms of difficulty?
Absolutely not. The way to play Destiny is the way that you want to play Destiny. We're seeing players approach Destiny from a lot of different viewpoints. Some people refer to Destiny as a competitive arena. Some people see it as a storybook or a picture house, a place where they can have a fanciful narrative spun out to them through action and adventure. Some people see it as an open world where they can just sort of explore and project their personality into that landscape. Some people see it as a social lounge. They just like going out there and seeing who I can meet in this game today. Saw people with the best gear and the best weapons from the beta. They would hang out in public spaces just waiting for some hapless noob to show up with their starter gear. Like, what's this place? Wait for him to fall under attack and then swoop in and save the day. Literally cast the guy a salute, jump on his personal vehicle and get out of there, leave him with that Lone Ranger moment, like, who was that guy? sure wish I could thank him. So Destiny is going to satisfy people for so many different reasons, who approach games from so many different moods. And as the community manager, I'm delighted about the fact that I can hear all of their different stories and understand how different types of gamers come together to make the population of the last safe city on Earth, a very interesting group of people.
Touching upon the tower, what was the decision to go for a third-person view inside the hub instead of having the first person that is given the game?
So many different options for character customization in Destiny that if somebody actually asked me yesterday, they said, if I customize my character, this is a first-person shooter, do I ever get to see that stuff?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And the tower is a great place to strut your stuff. The tower is really where you are going to customize your character. So as you come back from your missions and you have loot, you have raw materials that you've scrounged from the different destinations that you visited, or you actually find Golden Age relics that have to be decrypted, in these old, miraculous storage mediums. There could be a new piece of armor or a new weapon. There could be a belt-fed heavy machine gun in this luminous jewel. You go over to the magicians who can decrypt that stuff for you. That's what the tower is all about. Acquiring new weapons, acquiring new gear, talking to the people with whom you are earning reputation because you're bringing to them from the wild, from the wastelands, the things that they need. They then open up their product lines to you, and you're buying new weapons that you need for the competitive arena. And as you equip this stuff, you can just spin that camera eye around your character, strike a pose in front of the last safe city on Earth and just sort of enjoy how badass you look. At the same time, you'll see other Guardians who will be tricked out in different ways, and you'll immediately be able to tell this guy over here is a master of the competitive arena. This guy over here is a well-rounded player who has done raids and story and strikes. You'll be able to, at a glance, tell what someone likes, and then maybe even make a social connection with them and say, I want to do more of what you are doing in this game. Do you need friends?
Cool. There's obviously the beta was capped level 8, and there was still stuff to be doing anyway. Cap. What is the actual cap in the final game?
It really depends on how much patience, how much perseverance you have as a player. A lot of people are referring to level 20 as the cap. You will reach that point if you've done a lot of the story missions and the strikes. But once we got done telling our story in Destiny, that is when your own personal story begins. Because it is the end game content. It is the limited time special events that we throw at you. It's the things you can do to earn special weapons and gear that are only available for certain instances. It's things like the raids. It's things that you can do to take the stuff that you have and upgrade it and finely tune it and make it more powerful so you can actually get much higher than that, and then we'll have wonderful events where we can truly decide who is the baddest Guardian in the tower, who is the strongest warrior in this game, and they can come into game modes where instead of leveling the playing field, we will say the weapons that you bring, the armor that you wear, that stuff matters, that power matters.
It was recently announced that all the beta stuff won't be carrying over to the final game. What was the decision behind that?
It wasn't a decision as much as a reality of how we build this game. People told us that they wanted the beta to be a real beta. And when they say that, they mean that we want to use the beta as an opportunity to better understand what Destiny is and to learn things that we can use to make the game better. I think a seasoned gamer who has played in a lot of betas doesn't want to feel like they're grinding in a marketing demo. Don't just give me a trial run of your game that's this empty experience so that I can decide if I want to play it or not. I want to play Destiny. And if I'm playing in your beta, I want you to listen to what I have to say about what the game is. So we took a lot of their feedback. We refined how vehicular combat contributes to the competitive sandbox. We took certain weapons that they felt were underwhelming. We gave them a little bit of a boost. At the same time, we learned a lot of things that we can do behind the scenes to support the experience, make sure there are fewer connection issues. We have perfected the game with what we have learned from the beta. At least, perfected the game in terms of what it'll be on launch day. When people start playing the game en masse, then we will make more changes. We will be supporting Destiny constantly. But with the final changes that we made before launch, it made your beta Guardian obsolete. Now these things are cemented. So the character that you create in the final version of the game will be a character that you get to keep for a good long time, kind of conceivably as long as you want to. We'll still be supporting the game, we'll still be making tweaks and changes to the way different Guardians counter each other, or the way different weapons are worth using or not worth using, but we can do those things now because of the beta on the fly without killing off your hero. So if you did lose a Guardian to the beta, you helped Bungie make a better game. So we hope you feel that sacrifice is worth it, and we're sorry.
And finally, what's your favourite moment from Destiny, the thing you've experienced that you love the most about it?
Well, I've been working at Bungie for a long time, playing Destiny, enjoying Destiny, understanding how it will be a great, fun game, but not being able to talk to people about it. You know, so going in and playing Destiny with different people in my friends list, playing Destiny with my clan, who I have played Bungie games with for a long time, finally being able to see the conversation in our community erupt the way it has been awesome. In terms of an actual moment of gameplay, there was a moment where we had been playing in the Iron Banner, which was a special limited event competitive engagement. And you were earning special rewards that you could claim in your time in the Iron Banner, but when the Iron Banner is over, so did those vendors. Then we opened the Iron Banner again later on that day, and I went to the tower just as it began, and as the new portion of the tower opened up to players, as you landed in the landing zone, it was like the beginning of Gamescom here, or like a doorbuster sale on Christmas Day, It was like everybody was just running across the plaza of the tower to go visit this one competitive vendor, and he's just standing in the back in front of his burning shield as these dudes ran up, like, I got all these credits and I want to buy that thing for my arm, and it's like, and he's just like, and just to see it, I captured video, on my deck and brought it into work, and these dudes were just booking. They were just running up the stairs. Everybody was like trying to get to this dude at the same time. So I thought that was really funny.
Cool. Thank you very much for that.
Absolutely.